Society. Same as with, smoking marijuana. It's become a social thing to do. So young people, well, their friends are doing it, so they're going to be doing it. So they want to fit in with society, just like everyone in Babel wanted to contribute to building this huge tower. So we need to be aware of these societal influences and societal sins so that we don't fall into them. We need to stand apart. So sin alienates. I mentioned this before. It alienates us from God. It alienates us from our neighbor, which is really the effects of the Tower of Babel. So God comes down, confuses their language. They can't communicate, so they spread apart. They start developing in different areas of the world with their own languages. And sin also alienates us from ourselves. And it's interesting, when we read this passage, it mentions that God came down. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which mortals had built. Now, it's not as if God couldn't see it from where he was. God is present at all places at all times. He knew. But it's interesting that it mentions that God came down. Here they are, they're trying to go up to God or to be like God, but God came down. So God didn't need to come down. But the emphasis here, it's kind of a foreshadowing that God will come down and he will become one of us. In other words, it's only God who can take us up to heaven. But in order to do that, he must come down to be one of us. If we try to get to heaven on our own, or if we try to accomplish a society that we think will flourish on our own without God, in other words, to be our own God, to be our own masters, we're going to fail. This is the reality. And this is the mentality of the modern world, the modern atheistic world. We can do it without God. We don't need God. We don't need religion. We can do it on our own. We have the technology. We have the science. We will be successful and we will have healthy and flourishing societies. Wrong. So wrong. And so sad, even with the changes in modern times, everybody's on social media. Like, we are more and more divided today than ever before because of social media. And young people are depressed, suicidal. The elderly, they want to commit suicide also. They have no purpose for their existence except pleasure, consolation, entertainment. And this is no way to live. We need God. We can be grateful that God has come down. And, we hear in today's gospel reading, if anyone wants to become my follower, let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. Imitate the way of life our Lord has given to us. It entails having crosses. We cannot find happiness here on earth. This is why he says those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. Okay, but those who want to save their life or cling to their worldly lives because they think this worldly life is what makes them happy, they're going to lose it. They're going to die eventually. You can't cling to this life. The only real thing that we can cling to is our life in heaven, eternity. And this is why we need to lay up for ourselves heavenly treasures.